Let me give you the 5 main reasons why most people quit before they ever get to their goals. As the owner and head trainer of Sabatini Fitness, I come across a ton of different people from different walks of life. Some people who are very successful, some people who are not very successful, some people who have dreams, some people who lack ambition completely. And I think because of that, I've had a really good opportunity to really assess the trends between successful people and not successful people. I've had some level of success myself in the past, and I would say that I'm starting to have some now, and I do see how the things that I'm doing align with the things that other successful people I've seen do. And as a result, I can testify that these things are all pretty solid rules of thumb when it comes to success. So with that being said, I like to preface all of this by saying that the most successful person is not the one who has the most skill, is not the smartest person, it's not the fastest person if it's a sport, it's not the brightest person, it's not necessarily the most ambitious person, because people are all ambitious. The thing that most successful people have is just consistency. So everything starts with the first point, and that is the ability to dream and to dream vividly. I talk about this consistently in all of my videos. The reality of it is that everything begins with a thought, right? My company started with a thought. I thought about becoming an owner of a business. I thought about training independently. I thought about creating community and establishing community and growing community. And that is where it all began. Now, the thought has to be paired with a very strong belief that it will come to fruition to its highest degree, right? So I can hold an event with 5 people in it, but I'm not thinking about the fact that I have 5 people in my event. I'm thinking about the fact that in 2 years or in a year even, or even 5, 10 years, whatever the timeline is, at some point I will have hundreds of people in these events. I'm certain that these things are going to be coming to fruition, that I'm going to be able to see those dreams become real. And so it doesn't just start with a thought, but it comes with a true belief. And we've all been in a place where we've done things, hoping that we can manifest some kind of true passion for the thing that we hate, doing things that we don't love, but saying, okay, well, I do it just to make ends meet, or I do it because like I wish I could. I worked in real estate for about a year, and I got into it because I wanted to learn everything about the business. I learned about real estate investing, and that really intrigued me. I was passionate about investing and this idea of passive income, which, right, is a whole different conversation. But I decided that I should learn the business, and so I became a realtor, and I fucking hated my job. I had no passion for it, and frankly, I really just didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the business. I didn't like being a salesperson. I didn't like what I did, but I tried convincing myself that I would. I tried convincing myself that if I made enough money that I could. I tried convincing myself that I just had to like it, and I just couldn't, right? And I've done other things in my life, like playing college football, that in the front end, that was 9 years of work that I put in because I loved what I did. And the same thing now, where I've been working consistently now. My business has been open for about 8 months, but even prior to that, like working up to starting my business, about a year, right? And so it's been about a year, and I absolutely love what I do, and I've only gotten more and more focused on making the goals happen. I've only put more time in. I've only put more work. I've only been more passionate. My passion's only grown for making these things happen. So if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the true belief, like if you don't really love what you do, that's going to be the first step, right? You can't think yourself into necessarily a position of love for what you do. That's not an easy thing to come by. Again, I've been through periods where I don't like it, and it's a tough place to be in. But you got to do some soul searching first before you ever want to take a step into success, right? And when it comes to my clients, right at the end of the day, there's a lot of clients who want to be fit, but aren't truly passionate about it. Everybody knows they shouldn't be walking around out of shape and unhealthy because it's dangerous, and also because it doesn't look good, or whatever the problems with it is. There's numerous problems with not being in shape. Whichever one you want to pinpoint, but if they don't have actually enough passion to really care about the fact that like they should change this, then they're never going to change it, and they're not going to be able to bring themselves to make those actual drastic changes. Number 2, I find that most people, and I'm going to just really refer this all back to personal training, Most people start with motivation and there's a lot of emotion when they come in, but that burns out and it doesn't last a long time. We've all heard this idea, but it's true, right? People come in and you've told yourself, I am going to be 100% dedicated to what I'm going to do. You're burning, you're excited, you're ready to get to work, you're ready to make these things happen. And ultimately at some point that burns out, right? I wake up, even with the business that I love, I wake up some mornings and I'm like, man, fuck. I don't want to get up. I don't want to work today. I don't want to do these things, but consistently I get up and I do it. That ain't motivation. That ain't fucking emotion, because everything about that is pretty negative, but I make it happen because there's a consistency, there's a habitual discipline that has been built. A lot of the people who I see fall off are the ones who don't have that. As a personal trainer and just as a person in general, I'm a motivator. I do it naturally, and I also do it intentionally, right? I try to actually purposefully engage in motivation to help my clients be the best version of themselves. But from experience, I know that it doesn't matter how many good motivational words I can say. The fucking, if I quote David Goggins 35 times, the truth is, if somebody doesn't want to do something with their soul, they won't do it. It doesn't matter. And that's what they need to be consistent. So when motivation burns out, when emotion runs out, there's got to be something left. And if there's nothing left, nothing substantial left, people will quit. The third thing is that their goals are vague, that they're unrealistic, and that they aren't well planned out. Throughout high school and throughout college, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard this concept of SMART goals. It's an acronym. It means specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and then time sensitive. It sounds cliche, but it is so real, okay? Especially for people who are trying to get into a place of consistency, who start off from a place of not being consistent, right? One thing for me that I'm not always great at, budgeting in my finances, right? I love spending money. As soon as I start making more money, I tend to spend a little bit more, and that's something that I really have to work on. Fitness is the same way. Measuring your business or deciding to start a business, designing game plans, whatever that is, requires you to put together some SMART goals. The most important thing you can do is get really specific about your goals. Say, I'm gonna make $10,000 in new recurring revenue in the next 3 months. It's not realistic to put myself, if I'm 150 pounds overweight and I've never worked out a day in my life, or I lack every single level of self-discipline, to sit here and be like, oh, well, I'm gonna lose 150 pounds in 6 months. No, you're gonna spend half of that time trying to even get in the habit of getting in the gym. So you're probably not gonna see many results at the beginning. And then the rest of the 3 months is not enough time for you to be losing 150 pounds. Even if you starve yourself, that's pretty much fucking impossible. So the reality of it is we have to be very realistic, and that allows us to take manageable chunks out of that, break it down even smaller and smaller goals, and we can create easy paths from point A to point B, right? With a whole bunch of little small kind of checkpoints in between that allows us to ultimately get to our goals. And then the final part is that most people are truly just not invested. Just be honest with yourself, right? I've honestly never been a person who's been able to settle for anything. I can't. I go crazy. If I sit still for too long, if I feel like I'm being average, if I'm not moving, even just like this kind of subjective way, I have to start writing and coming up with game plans. I have to start creating. I have to start doing. I have to start moving. I can't stop. And there's people like me. There's also people who aren't like me, and that's completely okay. It really is. The worst thing you can do is living a life where you're impersonating someone who you aren't truly. This doesn't mean that you can't go from being a person who's not consistent to a person who is consistent, but to expect yourself to completely alter your personality, the person who you are, the things that you stand for, your principles, in order to become somebody who, frankly, you probably don't even really want to be, is unachievable. And that's why people fall off. It's called imposter syndrome, and it is a very real thing. People suffer from that. And when people feel like they're imposters, like they're lying, they know that, like, I know when I've been in situations when I was in real estate that I was trying to act like somebody who I wasn't. And I felt that. Like, I felt like I was impersonating someone who I really wasn't. And I knew that other people could see right through it. The thing we should think about is being as true to ourselves as possible. Do we have goals? Again, let's go back to kind of weight loss or whatever that might be. I think it's the easiest example, the easiest thing to pick at, especially with me doing it as a job. Of course, you want to lose weight, right? Do you really want to look like the supermodels that you see on a magazine? You probably don't. Do you want to live a life where all you do every day is work out? You probably don't. Do you want your identity to be completely rolled into your fitness? Do you want every conversation that you have to be about that? No, you don't. So don't change who you are as a person, as a human being in order to get to your goals. The worst thing you can do is not be yourself. And that leads me to the fifth point, which is the best way to get to your goals and the best way to not fall off, which I guess is kind of a tangent from our conversation, is the easiest way to achieve success is to be the closest thing to your truest self as possible. Stick to yourself, be yourself, live by your values and your virtues. And if those are fucked up, then fix them. But ultimately, there is some level of centering. There is a center, a core to a person, to every person, and that changes. And once you find that, if you stick to it, if you are unapologetically you, you are bound to be successful at the thing. You will set smart goals. You won't be just emotionally invested, but you'll have the discipline to carry through with everything that you've set out to go do, and you won't fall off of your goals. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please leave a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to grow this channel. And so it would really mean a lot for you guys to go out of your way to maybe share this and even, again, subscribe and support my business. If you have any questions, leave any comments below. I would love to interact with you guys, and I'll see y'all on the next one.